Haunted houses in the next 10 years are going to be extremely different. Let me explain why. A lot of you guys know me for talking about animatronics and stuff on this page, but if you know anything about me, you also know that I do a haunted house every year, albeit a very small one, but I still do one every year. And I've been in the Halloween scene for a very long time now, basically since I was like 6 years old. So I've seen quite a bit of change through the industry over the years, and I kind of want to talk about what I've been seeing. If you think of your local haunted house, you're probably thinking the same thing a lot of other people are thinking. Just some hallways, maybe a jump scare here and there, a big scary prop, some actors chasing you around with a weapon or two, or some shit like that. And if your haunted house feels very generic or dependent on jump scares, there's a high probability that the owner of that haunt is a fucking boomer or something, or maybe Gen X. And it's no hate to the older generation of haunters either, it's just a very different style of haunting, because the art has evolved quite a bit over time, and a lot of those common tropes are attributed to just, older generations and how they used to do it. But in the past 10 or so years, there's been a dramatic shift, and that's been mainly due in part to young haunters coming onto the scene, myself included. There's a lot of commonality between young haunters other than the fact that a lot of us are autistic. There's a lot of people, a lot of young haunters that are very into Disney Imagineering and the things they do over there, think like the Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm not saying it's entirely because of Disney. I honestly can't even pinpoint it, but my point is there's just been a weird, very dramatic shift from very traditional things like jump scares and gore and things like that to much more narrative-focused, cohesive walkthroughs, and a lot of theatrical elements. That's probably the biggest thing I have to say about it, because a lot of older haunts, they don't really stop you at any point. You kind of just keep walking through and something jumps out at you, something chases you, you see kind of a cool little show scene, and you just kind of go on. But I've been seeing a lot of new haunts stopping the audience at times and bringing out an actor and doing all kinds of theatrical show scenes and things like that. It's made haunting a lot more immersive. Other than theatrics, I've also noticed a lot of younger haunters putting much more emphasis on set design and, the environment around you. Because as much as I love flashing lights and jump scares, they don't really provide anything to benefit the story. A lot of newer haunts with stories, they have a lot of context clues and a lot of hidden things that you can look around and find, and they're a lot more rewarding to be in. And one thing that the older generations didn't really grow up with, unlike Gen Z and millennials, is video games. Video games have opened up an entirely new genre of inspiration to draw from, essentially. I mean, movies are one thing, but being thrown into a free roam environment that you can study for yourself and sort of just take notes from, it's really valuable. The haunt that I'm going to be doing this year is very Half-Life inspired, and it's very inspired by a lot of older first-person shooters, like Call of Duty and even Resident Evil and Silent Hill. And interactive environments like that do a lot to teach you about environmental storytelling and progression, and by progression, I guess I mean pacing, Environmental pacing is something that it can be very hard to do. It honestly kind of depends on what you're doing. It's finicky, but video games, again, the interactive environments, being able to explore everything yourself, it's a really valuable tool for learning how to throw people in the middle of a scene and let them walk around in it. Which is essentially what a haunted house is, or what they're going to become. A lot of Gen Z is now getting old enough that they're able to get their foot in the door, and some of us are starting to, get our own professional haunts and things like that. Of course, it's just a very small percentage right now, but I think as, some millennials are already doing it, but as Gen Z gets older, a lot of us are going to get into the field, and I think millennials, Gen Z, and a lot of the generations afterwards are going to kick ass in the haunt industry, and I think a lot of the haunted attractions are going to become much more immersive. Almost, again, kind of like a Disney dark ride, but scary and just fucking terrifying. Jump scares are cool, but I think going home and being paranoid while you're trying to sleep in bed is a lot more fun. It's a lot more effective. It's going to stick with you. It's going to be a lot more memorable. Anyway, autistic rant over. Bye.